Hi, everybody. Welcome to kind of a different format for Ham Radio Live. It's good to see you. My name's Larry. My call sign, amateur radio, is Kilo 7 Hotel November. It is Saturday, July the 8th, 2023, and my hope is that when it's too busy to put a whole show together, we can put a little show together, that spend some time together and talk radio. And I hope you enjoyed this little new format here that we can maybe get together a little more reasonably often. If you'd like to get into amateur radio, we're going to talk today about the great people of England and what they're proposing to do. I hope you like that. If you'd like to get your license in amateur radio, contact someone like the American Radio Relay League. They're good people. They'll listen to you and they'll find out where you live. Just tell them where you live and that you want your license. They'll send you an email back with a local to you amateur radio club. www.arrl.org. That's arrl.org. Hit the contact us bar. Let them know you want your license. That email they send back to you is pure gold because you contact that club and they're going to help you to get on the air and get licensed. And you'll love this hobby. You really will. www.arrl.org. Show email here is info@hamradiolive.org. And we have a topic question, and this is just going to be one subject only. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. Today's topic question: how much transmit power is enough, in your opinion, and why? Right? For example, UK has been 400 watts for a long time. Here in the States, 1,500 watts. Canada, 2,250. So how much is enough? Reasonably, right? If you've got a decent antenna, and we know some antennas can provide gain, and if you stack verticals, you can get lots more gain. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about power from your radio to your antenna. How much is enough? Good luck to the teams that are working this weekend on the World Radio Team Championships in Italy. Hope things go well for all of them. If you have a chance to listen to any of the shows I do on WRMI shortwave, I'd be honored to hear from you with a signal report. Make sure and send you an EQSL card. 2 shows, CQ Calling, powered by ICOM, for the love of ham radio. These are the times and frequencies you can hear that show. Over the Horizon Radio, also powered by ICOM, frequency, dates, and times. Still catch today's North America show. It'll be at midnight Eastern. Technically, it's like Sunday, right? But still, Saturday night, midnight Eastern on 93.95 kilohertz. And you can get one of some really cool EQSO cards that are specific to the target frequencies that WRMI sends the show out. For example, if you're looking for the Europe one, which comes in great in the eastern part of North America, it really does. 15770 from 12 to 13 UTC on Saturdays. This is their EQSL card. Shows you the target area, and it shows in the background, too. North America, first show on 5850. There's that one. Oceania, including, of course, New Zealand and Australia, Tasmania. There's theirs. South America, there's theirs. And the second North America one, which is tonight's, that is what that one looks like. So catch all 6 of those EQSL cards to your collection. I'd be happy to help you to get one of those. I'd love to hear from you on a signal report as well. Yesterday, had a great comment that came in from Steve, Mike 1 Sierra Delta Hotel, about new changes coming to the Ofcom folks in the United Kingdom. And I was like, wow, these are pretty sweeping changes. I had a chance to look through the Ofcom booklet, and it's fairly extensive. It's over 100 pages long, and there's a lot of data in there. And I really encourage you, if you're in the United Kingdom or Crown dependencies, to take a look at that document, because Ofcom's also asking for responses back before they make some decisions on doing this. So before we get in that segment, we do have a topic question. How much transmit power is enough in your opinion, and why? And we'd like to welcome you around the world to the show. Nice to see you guys. First one in. I think it's like I've lost count now. The Smoking Ape come in all the way first. Again, give him a big beep beep. There we go. Nice to see you, Ape. Thanks for coming, buddy. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming today. Happy Saturday, my friend. Wish you and your others very, very, very best. I really do. William in Holy Toledo, Ohio is in second. Hi, William. New call sign, Whiskey Charlie 8 Kilo. All I have to do is get it to come on the screen. There it is. Hi, William. That's a hard one. Yeah. Well, William, wishing you and your family the very best. Third up, Cliff Bolts, Whiskey Delta 4, Oscar Bravo Papa from the beautiful Commonwealth of Virginia. Cliff, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming. And there he is, Steve, Mike 1 Sierra Delta Hotel. Give him a big applause. Steve, thank you for telling me about that. I haven't done shows for a long time, so that information was so valuable for me to learn yesterday. And then reading through the documentation from Ofcom was quite revealing. I'll put it that way. Lionel, good to see you as well. Kilo Juliet 7, Oscar Foxtrot Hotel. It's always a pleasure to say hello to you, Lionel, and a very good Saturday to you there. Rodney, Puff Alpha 9 Romeo Whiskey, talked to you today on the phone. Doggone, had a good time. Give him big applause. That's enough. Rodney, good to see you. Thank you. And Steve, thank you very much. It's going to be just short, but to the point, I hope. And I hope you guys do enjoy all of this. Thank you very much for coming today. Kel, all the way in Norway, thank you for coming. Roger McKeon in Spokane, thank you for being here. A lot of folks here, really did. Look at Steve, did my first Summit on the Air activation today on 40 meters. Great fun despite not great weather. It's always good to be out with your radio. Lionel with an interesting comment here on today's topic question, how much power is enough? He says 10 watts will get you a long way. I don't have it, but I'm betting 50 would do me fine. 1,500 just seems like hamming in all capital letters. Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Yeah. And Duke, welcome back to the show. Always a pleasure to have you here. And William in Toledo, he says, how much was Voice of America pushing back in the day? That should do just nicely. Oh, gosh. Rodney with 500 watts max. 500 is a good number. That's a lot of power, actually. A lot of people may not realize that, but it is a lot. Rob Q in LA, welcome. Aaron Barchek, Aaron, welcome to the show. Steve says, how much power? Enough to make that QSO. Yeah, indeed. Rodney in Holland says, I've made contacts from 5 watts up to 1.5 kilowatts. And to be honest, 500 to 600 is more than enough. Your antenna is much more important. He's right about that. He's very right. Eamon Azar, welcome from the state of Indiana. November 9, Sierra Echo Sierra. A pleasure to see you, my friend. Let's get into the segment that was sent in to us yesterday by Steve, Mike 1 Sierra Delta Hotel. Now, I'd love to say it's brand new information, but it's not. This came out in the latter part of June. It was dated the 23rd of June this year. Ofcom consultation updating the amateur radio licensing framework, right? I've had a chance to go through the document, not read every word, but enough to get boned up on it that I know what to tell you here. And I advise you, please, if you're in the UK or Crown Dependency, please read it. It's really not a hard read, and there's a lot of good information. First of all, overview of key features of current amateur radio license levels and their privileges. They showed that. And of course, we know foundations restricted to 10 watts currently, intermediate restricted to 50, and the full restricted to 400 watts. Now, there's some big changes here besides power, all right? Proposed power level changes for most bands, and they say most bands, and this, believe it or not, can go into the gigahertz. Foundation will double, goes to 20 watts. Intermediate goes from 50 to 100 watts. Full goes from 400 to 1,000 watts. And it says, of course, the slash 13 decibel watts or 20 decibel watts, or in the case of the full, 30 decibel watts in bands labeled as amateur primary. Other bands would remain at the current power limit. So that's what they're talking about. Let's take a closer look, all right? These are going to be changing very quickly, all right? And they are looking for people in the UK to give their feedback. This is important. I want to make sure we get this out today so that you have the information, all right? Phase 1, license variation required later in financial year of this year. Notice increased transmit power is listed there. So that would be before the end of this year. This will take effect if it goes through, including allowing foundation licensees to self-build, that wasn't there before, and access to 2.4 gig and the 5 gigahertz band. The next one is another new one for UK amateurs. Permit low-power airborne use. Up until now, it's been illegal for UK amateurs to transmit amateur radio from an airplane. That is in the cards as well. Now, when will this be? Again, looking at later this year, 2023, that this part will happen. The licensing platform modification or other Ofcom action required. They're looking for 2024 to do, for example, the new intermediate Mic 8, Mic 9 call sign prefix and restriction on the number of call signs you can have. Phase 3, they're looking for somewhere later, 24 and 25 financial year, which would be improvements to the online revalidation process. And that also would include liberalization, if you're looking for 2024, liberalization of the use of the special event notice of variation. So that's part of 2024. And then in 2025, holding of a single personal license and a revocation of lower license as the license progresses. Also in 2024-25, choice of wider range of unused amateur call signs via the online portal. So that's kind of interesting, right? Also, the ability to change call signs periodically. They're looking at doing that in 2024-2025. This is really some very, I would say, aggressive thinking by the people at Ofcom. Very amateur friendly as well. Very amateur friendly. Quickly, let's look at the frequency bands, and this will maybe open your eyes as well. 160, all right, 1,000 watts for foundation licenses. That's there, all right? And of course, if you get a little bit lower in frequency, 135.7 to 137.8, 1 watt still applies. But for the rest of the HF bands, they're still 1,000, they're 1,000 watts for all of these. And as you progress up in frequency, 1,000 watts, they continue to go. And what's interesting is as you go up into the gigahertz, you're still a lot of power. Look at that. If you look at, like, for example, 134 to 136 gigahertz, that's 100 watts. That's a lot of power on microwave. It really is. And then as you continue to search up on these, you'll see that these watt levels are tremendous. Look at 2 meters, for example, 144 to 146 megahertz. You see that? That's 1,000 watts. No kidding. On 2 meters. That's amazing. Now on 6 meters, I could see, right, 1,000. Okay, that's, we go 1,500 here, but 1,000 all the way on 2. Man, UK amateurs have a chance to make some transcontinental calls. And then 400 watts remains as you go up in power. So these things are what they're looking to do. And as you go up into the gigahertz, 100 watts goes on all the way up to 10 gigs. Look at that. 10 gigahertz, 78 to 81. They're talking 1,000 watts for the foundation, for the full license. And then as you go 136 to 250 gigahertz, again, 1,000 watts on microwave. It's amazing what they're doing. Now, this is all happening very quickly, and people are invited to get involved and reach out to Ofcom. What they're encouraging people to do is subscribe to email spectrum updates with Ofcom. That's important because this is going to be a quick process. They're also going to be asking a lot of questions, all right? It's like, for example, should all of these things be implemented? Let me give you an example. Responding to this consultation, I know it's very short, very small font, but believe me, you guys know in the UK how to get a hold of Ofcom, right? It's there. They want your answers to the questions they're asking by 5 p.m. on September 4th of this year. Okay, you can download a response. There is a link there. You can download that response and fill out the form to determine if this stuff is really important to you. All right. I like what they say here on A4-21. If you have any comments or suggestions on how we manage our consultations, please email us at consult@ofcom.org.uk. We particularly welcome ideas on how Ofcom could more effectively seek the views of groups or individuals such as small businesses and residential consumers who are less likely to give their opinion through a formal consultation. So they're looking for people to help reach out to them, whether they're licensed or not. And that is a very cool thing, really is. The consultation questions, there are 17 in total. For example, question 8. Do you agree with our proposal to simplify special event call signs? Do you have any other comments on this proposal? Question 5. Do you agree with our proposals to allow the use of any suffix? Do you have any other comments on this proposal? These are really forward thinking. They really are. Look at number 14. I know it's small. Do you agree with our proposed change to allow foundation license holders to build their own equipment? Now, that's separate from the gigahertz frequency privilege. They can now build their own equipment if this goes through. So that's separate. They can build their own stuff, which is a really cool thing for foundation license holders. Plus, get access to 2.4 gig and 5 gigahertz frequency bands. Do you have any other comments on this proposal? These are some fantastic ideas from Ofcom. Last question: do you agree to Ofcom's proposed changes to the license terms and conditions? Do you have any other comments on this proposal? There are a lot of pages here in this entire thing. There really are. But I really encourage people in the United Kingdom to look at this. This is the most massive change to United Kingdom privileges that there may be ever in history to this point. Seriously, look at the changes. Power increases that are really big. More privileges for the intermediate and the foundation license holder. Being able to transmit at from an airplane, that wasn't legal before. These things are all being done and hopefully being implemented here within the next year. Let's look at your comments real quick, because I think these are fantastic things. And I honestly, listening to it, I kind of wish the FCC would maybe call Ofcom once or twice and possibly get some ideas on how to work with people, because they seem to have it down pretty well. Duke of Rodtown, he says, if I was licensed, I'd say 80 to 100 minimum and 5 to 600 for maximum would be enough. However, I feel some people's pain that they can't go higher than 1 kilowatt to be continued. Okay. And that's okay. And he continues on with the rest of his answer. He says, as Ronnie just eloquently reminded us all, it's the antenna, and that's it. That's a fact. And the other working conditions that are vastly more important. But most important is that you connect with folks. Connecting with folks is good. 400 watts to 1,000 watts is a big, big jump. And if you're an intermediate holder now in the UK, you can take most radios right out of the box and use it at full power. It was before 50 watts, right? So by sometime the end of this year, you might be able to just turn up to 100 and have fun. That's an amazing increase that they're offering you to do there. Nikolai in Romania, welcome. Good evening to you. Yankee Oscar 8, November India Kilo. Nikolai, it is always my pleasure to see you. Happy evening to you and your family. Hope everything goes well for you. David says, Tim Allen would be disappointed in these answers to the power question. Arg, arg, arg. Good comment. That's nice. Yeah. I'm building the Binford MA 15,000 watt amplifier. Don't worry, Jill. It'll be just fine. Nothing to worry about here. Imagine. And he's a licensed ham, too. Steve says, airborne would be great. It's a small addition, only 500 milliwatts, mind you. True, but then legal. Legal. And Steve, 500 milliwatts, you can work people on the ground at 500 milliwatts. You can. Even if you're in the 35,000 foot level, you don't need a lot of power to be able to make those calls. What I like is that they're now offering it to you guys. That's something that was not available before. Also, some maritime mobile changes in the UK as well. That's important. Read that in your Ofcom manual. The maritime mobile, I don't have time to get into that part, but there are some changes to maritime mobile as well. And digital analog ham. Chris, welcome to Echo Zero, Union Kilo Hotel. Rob Q has always got something nice to say. I like that guy very much. It's a nice comment. Thank you. Eamon Azar in Indiana says, Rodney, I'm good with bit busy. And yeah, and Duke of Rodtown, airborne use should have been permitted to begin with. Most countries have that. He's right. Most countries have it. The UK hasn't had that. And I like the fact that they're doing something about it. Cliff says 100 watts works very well until you have to compete against the kilowatt stations. True. Very true. And you know what? It all comes down to your antenna. It just does. And I know I'm not brilliant at this. I don't claim to be. I'll tell you I'm a moron. It's fine. But what I think that Ofcom is doing is really progressive and in a very good way to their members. I think this is brilliant for the UK. After reading the fact they can go on airplanes now with the radio, they can, go on the Maritime Mobile editions. The foundation now can build their own equipment and get access to gigahertz bands. That just flies right into the ICOM 905 with their super high frequency radio, right? It's right there. So, and they can buy it and use the darn thing. It's amazing. These are some really good things. So, Steve, again, thank you for sharing that with me. I do appreciate it. Eamon says 100 watts is okay, but 15 is a lot better. Now add a rhombic. 1,000 watts with even a hex beam is fantastic. Really is. I can't say enough. If you build a good antenna, if you have a good antenna, then you're going to do really well. And even at 600 watts, that is more than enough to work the world. 1,000 watts is a big increase, and I think that's really good. Good to see as well. Dale, I believe it is. I hope I'm right. Dale, Golf Zero, Foxtrot, Victor, Tango. A lot of times our limit in practice could be higher than USA limits. Ours are at the antenna feed point, not at the shack. Well, what I like about what you're able to do, though, and I'm just going to come out and say it because I think it's very important, all right? The antenna you have learned to do quite well in the UK, haven't you? Think about it. In the USA, we think brute force, right? Get the 1,500 watt amp, use the dipole, use the vertical. That's fine. But in the UK, because they've been limited to smaller wattage amounts, they've had to get good at building antennas. They already know how to build good antennas, and they're very good at it. They really are. There's a reason Callum McCormick is very good at selling antennas. He had to learn to do it to make his antennas that good to use with 400 watts. Now you more than double that power. I think this is brilliant for the UK. They have the experience of building the good antennas, and now they could get some more power for them. These are really, really good. Ronnie with a funny comment, 2 meter, 1 kilowatt. Whoo-wee, a lot of free birdies in the sky. Yeah, 2 meters. Can you believe that? That's a lot. And then Dale says, sadly, I only have 400 watts on 2 meters. A reason to build something bigger. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's true. Isn't it something? 2 meter radios here, you're not going to find 1,000 watt amplifiers. You're going to have to, put them together and make sure they work really well. And you guys can do all that. Y'all know that stuff. But can you imagine 2 meters calling from Great Britain to the States? Yes, it could work brilliantly. I think this is amazing. Mike, hello, Larry, all on the stream. Finally able to catch a live stream. I'm back home in Jacksonville now. All is well. How's your mom? Is she okay? Did she do okay with all that? Mike is a retired NYPD police officer, served there during 9/11. Mike, you're always welcome, and we're grateful you're here. I mean that. Mike, one of my dearest friends on this channel. Kilo Golf 2, Mike. Randy Gideon, hello everybody there. Kilo November 6, Bravo Zulu Golf. Randy, it's a pleasure. My name is Larry. Welcome to Ham Radio Live. It's an honor to have you here. Jonathan, welcome. Mike Zero, Juliet Sierra X-Ray is here. And Paul joins us all the way from Australia. Hi, Paul. Victor Kilo 4, Delta Papa Charlie. Greetings from VK Land. Trust you're keeping well. Absolutely, Paul. It's nice to see you. Good morning to you there on a beautiful Sunday for sure. Ronnie says, I used to use a 5 kilowatt amp as a freebander when I was a bad boy, but was pure bragging rights and not necessary. It's okay. John, Maritime Mobile rules not changing. Like Ofcom only making the language clear. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe I misstated that and I didn't mean to. So please forgive me if it came across that the rules are changing. The actual language is changing. They're also changing language in terms of defining a lot of things that seem to be very confusing to amateurs in the UK. In fact, they state things like in this section of the license, it says this, we're changing the verbiage to this because we feel it makes greater sense. And that's really a big deal. When you have a national organization that can admit mistakes, that actually means that they're growing, right? I think this is amazing for Ofcom. I really do. I think this is really, really good. Very, very good. Kevin, welcome. Iowa's here. Kilo Zero, Kilo Lima Bravo. Always a pleasure. Steve says, overall proposed changes look good. Basically, more freedom and capability, nothing being taken away other than can't have multiple call signs, something that no one seems bothered about. You know what? We can only have one here. You used to have multiple, right? You could, like Bray Goldwater had two. But do you need multiple call signs? Is it that important? I mean, if you're part of a club, sure, you've got the second call sign. That's the way it is here in the States, too. But what I love about this is so much of this in the UK, people and in Ofcom are asking for their members to write back to them and say, is this okay? Are you okay? What do you think of these changes? The FCC would do so much better here in the United States if they took the same type of action. Really, they would, because they would let the United States amateurs at least have a say in something. And I think Ofcom is good on them. Doing what they did is really good. I'm very, very impressed with what Ofcom has done here with this. We've got some big news. I want to make sure and add this real quick to the show. And again, show's not going to be too long, but I do want to say is we celebrate when people license up. That's a big deal here because it's not easy to pass these tests. They really aren't. So let's make some noise. Randy Gideon, look at this. On June 24th, he passed his amateur extra license class here in the United States. Randy, I'm sorry, mate. I don't have your call sign memorized here. Congratulations on a new amateur extra. Congrats, man. That's good. That's really cool, man. Well done. And you guys can all do that. You really can. I think we're good with all of our comments. Please, again, folks in the UK, Crown Dependencies, take a look at the Ofcom paperwork here. It's over 100 pages, but there's a lot in there that will help you understand that your licenses now have a lot more going for them. And I think this has a chance to build on amateur radio's popularity there, something that I think the RSGB has capitalized extremely well on. The RSGB and Ofcom both have done amazing through the pandemic and continue to do very, very well afterwards. Steve, I've still got my foundation and intermediate call sign, never used them since I got the full, and that's probably a good thing. Rob Q, how many, you can never have too many ham radios or too much power. I don't know about that. I'm not so sure about that. My wife would kill me. She would. Jonathan, not wishing to self-promote, but I did a video summary of the main points of the proposal, which I'm rather proud of. It's on my channel. Go take a look at Jonathan's there. Look, Mike Zero, Juliet Sierra X-Ray. Take a look at that and then learn more from Jonathan. That's good. Thanks, John. Jonathan, it's a pleasure. Thank you for sharing that. It's a good thing. It really is. I think we're good. I think we got everybody here. I would say this is important for folks in the UK. You have until the first part of September to let Ofcom know your thoughts. Please do that. I'm going to put that back on the screen so folks that may not have seen this have a chance to respond, because this is very important. There are a lot of questions. I know that, but please, they want to hear from you. This is so important. Contact them at consult@ofcom.org.uk. All right? Ofcom.org.uk. It's a great way for them to be able to get your answers and figure out what they hear from you, right? Does it work? What maybe you don't like? Possibly what you think was a really good idea. And good on Ofcom for helping the UK amateurs out. It's a good program. Look for some big changes before the end of the year, as in more power coming your way. My name's Larry. My call sign, Amateur Radio's Kilo 7 Hotel November. Wherever you may be in this world, enjoy amateur radio. It's supposed to be enjoyable and a lot of fun. And in the UK, it sounds like it'll be a little more powerful. Till we meet again. God bless you and goodbye, everybody.